Welcome to the Ad Tech Forum. Today's episode is all about privacy and consumer consent. This is part of our Outcomes series sponsored by Attain. We're excited to get this episode started with our special guest, Jason Niemi.
Jason is the Global Technology Director at Kimberly-Clark. With over 20 years of experience at Fortune 500 companies, he's a proactive and results-driven leader in data and digital strategies. Jason has a strong track record in delivering complex projects that span marketing, product management, and IT initiatives. Jason, we're excited to have you here and welcome to the Ad Tech Forum.
Pleasure to be here. I appreciate the opportunity and look forward to having a little bit of a rapid fire exchange with Jeremy.
You're going to crush it. This is a tough one. So off the bat, consumer privacy regulations are becoming more and more stringent within advertising, marketing, and media. In your opinion, how can brands effectively leverage opt-in data to personalize marketing campaigns while respecting user consent?
So the first thing I'm going to say is make a lighthearted joke saying, I'm not an attorney, so this is not legal advice, so you can't take this to anywhere. And in that kind of audience, I can say as a consumer and as a marketer and a technologist, that's how I'm thinking about this. Well, it's something that we deal with all the time in my current role and in prior roles. And I think it all starts out with a real simple goal in mind is what are you going to do to the consumer, and have a clear objective of what you're going to say and why is the consumer signing up, to have reasonable expectations of why are they giving you what companies should consider their most trusted information about who they are, and understand how that then can be used to provide content experiences or some sort of education through a process, whether it's promotionally driven, if it's a feature functionality, it's a life stage or like a product introduction, or even just access to exclusive content. Marry up that consumer expectation with whatever you're going to accomplish from a campaign brief.
I love that. So why is it important for consumers to give their consent when companies collect their data for ads?
It's all about that expectation setting. It's like one of those, what are the boundaries of what I'm doing at a certain point in time? If you're looking to, buy a house, you're signing up for lots of new things. You want to learn about new things and get access to new things, whether it's products or services around wherever you are. If it's around, a different life stage and you're getting ready to buy new products, you're looking for promotions because you want to get experience to maybe something you hadn't bought before and you're not really sure. Or it could be around, as I said in the other question, what kind of content or information do I need to help me solve a problem? And so I think it's that reciprocal nature of having a brand purpose with a clear goal and having a consumer also express, reasonable intent of what they're looking to accomplish with that exchange.
Jason, we talk about consent and we talk about, providing user data to various brands for more accurate targeting, but why? Can you break it down to us as to why getting consumer consent is so important for opt-in data collection? And then also, how does the consent piece impact the quality of the relevance of the ads that these users are being served?
Again, I think it's all about that expectation of what you're doing and how you're going to engage with that consumer and what they should expect from you as a brand. So if you think about when I actually opt in, there is a period of time from that point forward I expect to be treated with some sort of a communication. There also might be preferences associated with it. I expect to be, engaged with via WhatsApp or SMS or email or all of the above, versus potentially having, only communications from one channel. I assumed I was going to get emails, and all of a sudden now I'm getting SMS alerts, or vice versa. So if you think about just the simplicity of just that intent and respecting what a consumer is trying to convey as what their interest is and their preference, I think that's the beginning of a really good exchange. And then as you think about, as you go through whatever your script or your journey is for what that consumer is going to be getting, you have to think about what's the handoff or the end plan or the transition, so that you're not coming across as a spammer where you have to send 5 emails a week in order to hit a quota, or 10 texts because you have to be able to do something because of a contract you have with a provider. It's really being driven based on engagement, life stage, and an objective with a certain beginning and an end and a potential transition. And so that's kind of the beginning of all marketing, whether you're in opt-in data or in paid advertising, there should be some sort of a beginning, a period of time that you're explaining, and then there's a handoff to some other state, whether it's buy now, you've completed the transaction if it's a highly considered good, or if it's I'm ready to share more information to get more information.
How can brands use this opt-in data to craft messages and have the right creative content that really, clicks with their target audience? And then I guess like a second part to this question would be, how do we make sure that those personalized ads are ethical and respect the consumer's privacy?
I think the biggest thing is the end of it, respecting privacy, is making sure that you always have the right to opt out if for whatever reason, you have to think about that. Like there should be a reason of why you're communicating in a way that makes sense. Again, back to that expectation of why the information was shared in the first place. Also recognize that as from a brand perspective or a communication campaign perspective, it's for a period of time. It's not forever. And I think understanding what those limits are for whatever your good is and what that message is, sometimes that period of relevance is a month or a year, or it could be 5 years if it's something that's for a period of time that you're looking for, nutritional ideas or a variety of different things. That could be like something that you use every week or annually or like seasonally. I think there's some boundaries around that. And the reason that it matters is, again, you don't want to come across of just using like general signals like demographic or geographic signals. Quick anecdote. I recently drove out to New York for a wedding, was out there, was in Long Island for a week. And the amount of advertising I'm getting from the Long Island-based community and advertisers and sports teams is unbelievable. I didn't ask for any of this stuff. I was going out there. I went out there for a wedding. I did enjoy some restaurants. I did look up some things to do, but I didn't actually do anything. And that was a month ago, and I'm still getting like deals from like, next time you get into town, sign up for this great 2-for-1 deal. If it's one of those, just getting that little bit more personalization. I think if I continue to go out there multiple times, different story. It was a one-time event. And I think from an experience perspective, it's one of those, you try, period of time, understand it's relevant, but then it kind of goes away. And I think that's that time-bound nature when you think about advertising and creative and content. Let's make sure that there's boundaries associated with it.
I love that personal anecdote that's going to resonate with everybody that's watching or listening, because we've all experienced some kind of, wait a minute, why is this still taking place? When you look ahead, just in your role at Kimberly-Clark and beyond throughout your 20 plus years of experience in our space, what emerging trends or technologies do you think are going to actually continue to shape the use of opt-in data for advertising? And how can brands just stay ahead of the curve to overall maximize their value?
And maybe building on the last point to answer this point, getting opt-in data, there's generally been a focus of acquiring data. So it's about acquisition and count. I think there's also a reference around the quality of the data that you have and making sure that you're keeping the consumer engaged and it's relevant over a period of time. I think quality matters as much as quantity, and having that right balance in portfolio. In terms of tech, as you move forward and you think about consent and consider new capabilities, I think clean rooms, having your data and collaborating with other environments are going to be more critical, and having confidence in the data that you're putting in there and what the objectives are, I think as a marketer is going to be really important. And then as you think about, expanding and learning and exploring other white space opportunities, potential insights or adjacent opportunities via things like AI, I think those are all going to be really important technologies for us to be considering. But that presumes the data that you have confidence in what it is, and there's also an expectation and a boundary of being relevant to the consumer and having that empathy for the consumer.
Thank you, Jason. This actually brings us to the end of this episode of the AdTech Forum. This episode is sponsored by Attain. We've covered a wide range of topics throughout this series, so I wanted to personally thank you for being here today. And please, for all of our listeners, please subscribe to YouTube and follow us on LinkedIn.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you very much, Jeremy.